Hey guys, it's me, Mario, and today we're going to continue Kaymon, the Gorgon Hound. How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. Delicious. Chapter 6, The Dungeons. Tom and Elena ran, looking for a new way into the lower regions of the castle. They pushed through a creaking door and came into a long corridor with damp walls lit by flaming torches. What was Curlo doing here? Helena asked. I feel as if he's on our side, but I can never be sure. I know what you mean, Tom replied. I don't always understand what he's saying, but I'm almost certain he's not our enemy. They passed several doorways, but these only led to other deserted rooms. Winding stairways soon brought them deep in under the ground. The air was stale and musty, and rats scuttled about. This place is huge, Elena said. How will we ever find the captives? We must, Tom insisted. Let's listen. They stood in a cobwebbed stone corridor, holding their breath and heard the clamor of trapped people beneath them. A single voice rose above the others. Help us, please help us. Tom stared at a ragged tapestry that hung on the wall. Its threadbare edge twitched as if disturbed by a breath of wind. Tom strode over and pulled the cloth aside, revealing an arched doorway. It led to another stone stairway that wound downwards, its walls lit by smoking torches. Tom looked at Elena. This is the way. He took a torch from the wall, and together they moved down into the gloom of the castle's deepest cellar. Tom shuddered at the sight of the grimy, stinking dungeons. The walls were running with damp and patches of fungus clung to the stones, glowing with a sickly light. Clumps of sticky spider webs stuck to their clothes as they brushed past. This is terrible, Helena whispered, her voice full of dread. The voices grew louder. We're here, help us. Tom turned a corner and at last he saw the prisoners. There were about a dozen men in a filthy chamber, their limbs shackled in rusting chains, and their clothes in tatters. The prisoners pulled against their feeders. Help us, free us, they called out. Tom and Elena ran forwards, taking out their water flasks and giving the men a drink. Who are you? Tom asked. One man, taller and broader than the others, got to his feet. taller and broader than the others, got to his feet, his chains rattling in the iron ring that held them to the wall. "We are Gorgonian rebels," he said. "Have you come over the moor? Did you see any of our comrades out there?" Oh, excuse me. Tom shook his head. "I'm sorry," he said. "We didn't see anyone." "Please free us," the man said. Tom looked at the manacles. The iron was rusted and old. "Keep still," he warned the man, taking out his sword and thrusting the tip into the locking mechanism. He gave it a sharp twist. The blade slipped and grazed the man's skin. He hissed with pain. "I'm sorry," Tom gasped. "I'll try that again." He pressed the tip of his sword to the manacles a second time. The man watched him anxiously. Tom turned the blade again, and this time the iron shackles snapped open. "Thank you," the man said. "If you could free my men too, we will be gone from here." It wasn't long before all the rebels had been released from their chains. They stood up, rubbing their numbed limbs, smiling with gratitude and relief. "Who are you?" the tall man asked, resting his hand on Tom's shoulder and looking sharply at Elena. "We come from another land," he said. "We're the friends of a good wizard." He wasn't sure how much he should tell these people. "You have aided the rebellion," the man said. "Thank you, but tell no one that you ever saw us. Melville must not get to hear of this." Tom shivered at the mention of the evil wizard's name. "Melville will hear nothing from us," he said. Can we do anything else to help?" He felt sure that anyone rebelling against Melville must be good. "You have done enough," the man said. "But remember, never speak of this encounter." He led his man out of the dungeon, and soon they were gone. The gatekeeper suddenly stepped from the shadows. "Was that wise?" Curlo asked, his one keen eye on Tom's face. Tom stared at him, troubled by a moment of doubt. "They were starving," Elena said. "We had to let them go." Curlo's piercing eye turned to her. Did you indeed, he growled. Do you know what deeds these men are capable of?" Tom looked at the gatekeeper uncertainty creeping into his mind. Had they been right to set the men free? "They are against Melville. They're on the same side as us, aren't they?" he asked. But Curler just turned and walked slowly up the stairway without replying. Tom was about to mount the stairs after him when the flickering light of his torch shone on something crammed into a crevice in the entrance to the stairway. He moved the torch closer. It was a folded scrap of linen. He pulled it free. Elena leaned over his shoulder as he carefully opened it. "What is it?" she asked. It's a lock of hair. Lock of linen. He pulled it free. Elena leaned over his shoulder as he carefully opened it. "What is it?" she asked. "It's a lock of hair," he said in surprise, "and a piece of red silk." Elena let out a gasp. She picked up the lock of chestnut hair and held it against Tom's head. "It's exactly the same color as yours," she whispered. Bewildered, Tom picked up the scrap of scarlet silk. "There's something embroidered on it," he murmured. "Elena, hold it for me so I can shine the light on it." Elena stretched the silk between her fingers. It was a curling script, sewn into the silk with fine yellow thread. "Midsummer's Eve," Tom read. But that's my birthday." The two friends looked at one another. "Could it have been left here by your lost father?" Elena asked. Tom had never seen his father, Teledon, who had disappeared when Tom was a baby. "Do you think he may have been here?" his friend continued. Tom stared again at the piece of silk. To think that his father might have stood in this very spot for a moment. He felt closer to Teledon than he ever had before. His hand closed around the scrap. "Come on, Elena," he said. "My father would want me to do the right thing. We have an evil beast to defeat." Tom raced up the stone stairs. He was ready to bring this quest to an end. And that was chapter 6. The dungeon, I think it's called. Into the dungeon, the dungeon. The dungeons. Hope you guys join me on Thursday. I'll be reading chapter 7. Defeat. Hope you guys like, subscribe, and hit the bell. If you guys want me reading more of Beast Quest. Then again, if you don't, I will still continue. Because I have like 52 that still want me to read this, so you don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.